Hello everybody. We are back with this again. I just had to refamiliarize myself with some of what we had done. It's been a little while. But I think that I've mostly got everything back to the state that it was in before. So, we're going to continue with this live set drone-y thing. I've done some changes to sound levels. So you'll have to let me know, if it is okay. I feel like this mic is still picking up my voice a little bit too much. Yeah, hi Zajara, you are correct. It is a little different. I'm standing now and a few other things, so trying to make it a little clearer to see some things, but still on stream it's impossible to see LCD screens. Like, just they're unreadable. Not sure what I'm gonna do about that, but anyhow, so what did we have last time? Let's just mute everything. Oh, come on. There we go. Right, so we had this, which I still am debating as to whether I actually got the pitch right on. Because it was either this or this. Yeah, 4K cameras, I guess, yeah. Just see about that. It could be interesting, actually, if I could get these cameras set up in exactly the right spot and not move them. I could create little sub-views that are just zoomed in. Maybe I'll try that. Anyway, just as a reminder, and I think one thing that contributed to this sound was that... where's my button not working? I'll have to put it in manually. Just a sec. I got this new little portable keyboard to try to make this easier, and I have not learned it yet. Where is exclamation point? Here we go. And I can't spell. I know, I cannot believe that that has still not arrived. It's ridiculous. The status has changed to units are on their way, so that's good. But yes, there is still a filter cutoff control in the drone right now. That changes the sound quite significantly. Which is that sound you're hearing right now, and I still... Just gonna add in some of the... There we go. Now this will tell me. Blow out everyone's eardrums. Feel like it was this. Feels more, well, it just clips on the lower octave, so it must have been this octave. So we have that, which is mostly the CSL just being modulated by a whole bunch of other things, and then going out through, getting mixed, going out through a VCA that changes some of the mix, coming out through the Squawk Dirty, which is the filter that you're controlling, that goes out through the Milky Way, that goes out through QPass, which has a whole bunch of semi-random modulation, which reminds me, I should start that, that'll make it sound better. And we also got it to do some interesting talking last time, which was... which won't be part of it right off the bat, but is a good little add-in, I think. So we had that. We had this little chord sound that's coming from plats. We had also made that sort of transition into, we also had, let's see if this sound is set up properly. This would be on part 2. Yes and no. That helps if I unmute it. Sounding weirdly less in tune than it was last time, which is odd for a digital oscillator. Now, what I'm trying to do here is build a sort of something that I can start with that's ambient, which would probably involve that and this in some fashion or another, and this sound once I get it. Oh, this is closer. This is close to what it was before. And then we're going to, from there, transition some sounds over, like this. And then we have a little. I'm beginning to really dislike the disting switch. It does not work reliably at all. Come on. Why are you doing this to me? There we go. So we'll transition into something that involves this. And then what I was going to do, if the crossfader module I had ordered actually arrived today, thanks Canada Post, I was going to today do some crossfading between that and what I started at the end of the last stream, which was this sort of telharmonic drone. It needs a bit more work, but this is just telharmonic. Oh, it needs to be in. Not in that mode. I think it might have been this mode. It's actually hard to tell when I'm doing stuff. Need more distance. But yeah, so to transition into this going, something with that was the idea, but we didn't quite get there last time because I had a request from someone to try an interesting speech patch into Rainmaker, which turned out really cool, but that took up a bunch of time. So now we're gonna get back into actually making this and figuring out how we're gonna do this transition. Yeah, you're right, you always run out of utilities. What I really need and what I want to get now is like a real actual dedicated switch, because I'm finding that that's going to be useful. Okay, so let's start from the beginning again. Interesting that that never quite fades. I guess I can cut it that way, even with gain minimum. Okay, so we start. Yeah, I got the comment last time that this drone, someone thought that I had like just like a giant fan going in the stream or something like that, and that was what the sound was. But I feel like it doesn't come across, I feel like it doesn't get recorded or streamed very well for some reason. It sounds like not like that in here. Okay, so from here, then we'd start. Stupid switch, come on. You're in the right mode. Just trigger for me. Come on. Trigger. Switch. Or don't. Because, you know. It's done this the last 2 streams where the switch just like doesn't work for the first little while and then it starts working. I don't know what it wants. Set you up with the little like left bias or whatever it is. Okay, now you're good. Might be. I don't know, the switch is really weird on the dissing. I don't know if you've used it because you have to, in order to use it as a toggle, they suggest that you turn the little Z control like just a little bit to the right. And if you don't get that little bit right, it doesn't seem to be like 100% accurate. It's very odd. I have this. This is going through. Maybe I should move this sound around a little more. Problem is I don't know that it would be good on the other sound that's routed through that switch. Unless I can just take the LFO out if necessary. Let's take another tetrapad LFO since, as you so aptly saw, I still do not have my tet. Track 3 pan. Something's definitely not the same here. Missing something that I had last time. What is it? I don't remember what it was. All right. Well, let's just see if we can massage this into something that fits a little better. This feels a bit too, like, forward. Let's turn the gain down. I may or may not ever actually make a pattern with this. I've debated whether I just want to play it. Might need something, which means I'm gonna have to send pitches from different locations, possibly. Well, actually, okay, let's just set that up. Let's keep putting that off, and I probably should just do it, which would be really just to set up a length 1 sequence that just sends, what have we been sending on? Like C5, I think that would be. Let's see. Everything else might sound really weird for a minute, but let's just make sure this is doing what I think it is. That's good. Okay, so that's one constant pitch taken care of. We also need the other one, part 1. There should also be a C something or other, I think. Let's just mute this for a minute. This also needs to be of length 1. Oh, okay, I think this was a G. Have I played around with logic yet? Admittedly, no. It's a little... It starts to borderline on I'm doing my day job stuff when I have to start thinking about ands and ors and all that kind of thing. And admittedly, I haven't really... I see the usage for it in generating like unique patterns for drums and things like that, but I haven't quite grasped where I would use it in something that I'm doing here that's more ambient, droney, etc. Think that we've got so we've got this sequence now, so I can actually sequence part 2, which would be useful. So I think what I'm gonna do is record it in with the step mode, because really what we want is only a few notes. We want, we're at octave -1 right now. Is this right? Yeah, that's it. Okay. So what we want is step mode, and we only want it to be able to do this note, this note, this note, this note, this note, this note, and then we'll take the last two and make them, so that's only a 6-step pattern anyway, so we'll just set it to 6 length. We'll let it choose, let's do random and see how that goes. It might not be great, but at a much slower rate. Why did that not work, apparently? Weird. Let's just make sure that, yeah, it goes through. It's just too high, oddly. Weird. Okay, so that, and that. Okay, still too fast, but we got the right notes now. So let's slower rate. Either that or a faster rate and more chance. It's actually not bad. The only thing we might have to change here is to have it mult the gate so that we both trigger the assimilator and trigger the rings. Do we need to do that when you're sending an input? I'm just thinking about the volt for octave changes aren't actually triggering rings to do anything, so let's just see. I don't know that I like that as much. It's kind of nicer to have the little gaps. Okay. Remind myself where Platts comes in. Here on a 1. I guess the other thing I could do here is to mult the trigger that's triggering that ringsy noise right now in the background. And mult it into the other sound that's on that switch so that I can just switch patterns. Switch the switch and switch patterns and do something different with the gates for the other thing. Okay, so I would like ideally to be able to mute. I know that I can do this. There's a way to mute a part. We're in select mode right now. We need to move into mute mode. There it is. There. So now that part's muted, so I should be able to turn the volume. That's good. Don't want it too high, but okay. I'm actually going tomorrow to a live show that I think has, if it doesn't have modular people, it definitely has a lot of generative ambient stuff. It's the first show I've ever seen of this in my city, so very curious how that's going to go. They have like an open mic component afterwards that I'm not going to perform at this time because I want to get the lay of the land, but it's once a month, so if I can get this into something that's workable, maybe I will do that. We'll see. So we start here again. don't think we want to transition to that right away. Let's just try. Okay, we're gonna unmute that part. Now, the Octalink, to be honest, originally was because I thought that in this case configuration, it was going to be difficult for me to get signal from one end of the cases to the other. But now I've realized that I don't need as long cables as I thought. It's actually, when you see these cases not in person, they look a lot bigger than they really are. So the Octalink I'm actually gonna drop at some point here when I figure out what I'm gonna do with the rest of my 1U things. I can see it being really useful for cases that are actually like far apart from each other, or ones that are like, if they weren't horizontal or vertically stacked like this, if they were horizontal, could be a bit of an issue, but didn't end up being useful for me. Okay, so what about if we tried it like this instead? Stupid gate. This thing's really not reliable enough for me to want to use it. Obviously gated too much, but that's because we need to transition to a different part here, but that's fine. Okay, we're just going to go back into select mode. If you take my patch from the road, you can see the Octalink being useful as you can put the lid on and just link up the Ethernet cables. Yeah, I suppose, but how would you get the Ethernet cable? I guess you'd have to like drill a hole in the lid for the Ethernet cable to come through if you just wanted like a black box of moduliness. Can I? That's a good point. Why can't I just use the AB? I totally can on the mixer. That's a good point. Let's do that instead. Not that. This. Instead of this guy. I'm gonna need a longer cable, but that's okay. Just need everything else here to make sure. Why am I getting the mixture of both here. Hang on a minute. I'm switching the right one, right? No, I'm not. That would explain it. It was in AB mode. Hey, Mr. Basic. I have a collection of longer cables now just for these scenarios, which come up all the time. Okay, let me pull what I was doing on the stretch. Thank you for the suggestion. That makes a lot more sense to just use the AB inputs on the mixer. Because now I should be able to flop these. Yes, much easily. And now I have utility back, yeah. Yay! Okay, so let's go back to what I was doing, which was... my proposition was to switch from that to another preset on part 2, which we're going to just set one gate in for now. Needs to be the right input output. Yeah, okay. It's just a little too frequent, which is fine. Change this to like a quarter note maybe. Let's see if my button's working now for... No, I have a little button that's supposed to let me do the modular help thing to show everyone what you can do, but apparently it's broken right now. Okay, so I transitioned into this point, and then I sort of wanted to crossfade these two, but I can't quite yet, but... this was the telharmonic setup, which at the end I was messing around with. I did build the bot, yep. It's hosted right over there on my computer. I just run it when we start the stream. Well, yeah, I mean, I coded it myself, so it's just a executable that runs on my machine. Yeah, it's not definitely not a bot that you can find anywhere. Okay. This is starting to head in an okay direction. Let's just see if I can do this transition between these two different setups with any degree of... Yeah, okay. I just have to... The cutover is hard with this. It's possible I might have to, like... I can't go into mute mode here. Like... Mute mode? Where's my mute mode? Come on. Okay, you don't want to give me mute mode. Alright. because I really need to mute it, then switch the preset. Just setting up a custom DDNS service. Yeah. Those are always nice to do. Better than having having to convince your ISP to give you a static IP. These days they are just like, nope. I know that you're trying to host a server and I don't want you to. Okay, so gotta figure out what I can do with this vector sequencer to make it do what I want here. Because this part is what I want, but I want to mute. I suppose I could just do it at the mixer level. It's a little more complicated, but I don't really want to do it at the mixer level because I don't want to mute the sound. I want to mute the incoming trigs. I guess I could just make another part. There's a part that's entirely blank. Yeah, that's the way to do it. That keeps me all on one page so I don't have to mess around too much. Yeah, I guess that does do CV level muting, I suppose, wouldn't it? Yeah. Now, what I'm really wanting, and they don't seem to have in stock anywhere, even in the States, that I can find, is the Maze module. It's like the WMD sequential switch matrix, except it's smaller and it has VCAs between each of the connections. That's what I really want, because then I can like have some complicated patch that's repatching a whole bunch of stuff and just switch to another thing on the fly. It would make this kind of thing a lot easier. But can't find it yet, so. Okay. Give this more range. Just listen to the telharmonic for a sec. Maybe it needs. You don't like the 80s space black theme. I didn't know that there was, oh, it's the white and green one, right? That's the old panel, I think. I'd just be happy to find it, period, at this point. I think I might like this with a little bit less. Just put these other channels back on. Really wish I had that crossfade module today, because I think it would be extremely handy for a lot of what I'm trying to do here. Okay. These a lot on their own. Signal Sounds is UK, right? I think? Or like it's in Ireland or something like that. should maybe double check about the differences in duty and customs and all that kind of thing. Because conveniently, the pound is not very high right now. So, because I didn't even think to check outside of the States. Alright, so this pattern needs a bit more variability, I think. Yeah. How would I vary this? We could do a bit of volume variation, maybe. That might be a little too subtle. Can we maybe do something with the pitch? Give it a, we're on channel 5, right? Yeah, pitch mod from CVA. Just mult off a LFO for the moment to see where we get with that, but no, I won't. I need a longer kilo. Yeah. It's always funny for me to go into any UK store and hit the end, and all of a sudden the VAT comes off and the price drops. Yeah. It's kind of like the US. Yeah, it is taxless prices. Yeah. Annoying as hell. Obviously not that much pitch mod gain. Okay, conceptually that could be something. It needs to be much faster than that LFO. Okay. Let's take something off Pam's. By the way, there's like some sort of crazy electrical short. I don't know if you can hear. Listen to what happens when I like touch my little light here. Something definitely unshielded going on. Okay, so number 3, we'll have a fast. Not a gate, we want sine. Everything else except for random skip can be default. Okay. Much faster. You don't want to go shopping and have to do math while you do it. Yeah. The nice thing is that in the province that I'm in, it's a flat 5% sales tax, so it's at least a really easy calculation. Better than some of the other provinces that are like, I don't know, 13% or something like that, where it's... Okay, still too much, which is surprising because the pitch mod is only at a... Oh, that's just gain. Does that mean at 0.0 it's unity gain? Yeah, it seems like it. Okay, now we can go slower. $17.5%. Jeez, yeah, that's completely uncalculatable in your head. Yeah, right. So then you don't have the whole like everything ends up being like $2.99 to convince you that it's closer to $2 than $3 thing? Or do you still have that? Alright, so there's a little bit of variability to that. This was track 2, right? So I could send velocity out. Let's try. So we'll give it a chance for increased velocity, and we'll say 100% of the time for now. Go velocity into CVB, and we'll do, oh, okay, that's news to me. I didn't know that you couldn't control the simulator like a VCA. Okay, instead we'd have to go out from there into here, CV here, and then out. Rapidly running out of cables. Out and into. Okay, obviously needs more velocity in the first place. Still so quiet. We do have the 299 thing. Work the tax of the being actually 276. Yeah. Still super quiet, which is interesting. Nope, not the same level. Let's just boost it. Gotta stay away from that light. It's so crackly. Cheap stuff off Amazon. I'm not surprised. Probably. Oh yeah. Even if I touch the power cord, it's kind of scary actually that the power cord is that unshielded. Anyway. Okay, so unfortunately, if that was max velocity, what we really need to do is have the chance to go to a lower velocity, but I don't know if that exists. Let's make it ratchet, because ratchet's fun. Yeah, I don't think that's gonna work. Yeah, all we can do is turn the velocity up, which really isn't. Doesn't even seem to be making that much of a difference, actually, which is odd. Yeah, okay, I can see it reflected in the CV LED. It's subtle, so that's not really exactly what I want here. All right, let's not mess with this. Let's leave the volume as it was. Reclaim some, oh, no, you stay there. Reclaim some cables. Yep, okay. Now, of course, it's loud. Actually, you know, come to think of it now, maybe it might have been Signal Sounds that I got my vector sequencer from. It was a UK vendor. I don't remember. Anyway. I definitely could not find it in the States. Or actually I could, but the shipping was going to be like twice as much from the States, which made no sense. So... maybe I'll just give it, instead, a chance to mute. Not a very high one, but a chance. I made you sell London Modular. So it definitely wasn't London Modular, so I must have been Signal Sounds. In which case, if their shipping stays the way it was, that would totally be worth it. Oh, brutal. That sucks. But hey, like, at least they were helpful. Okay. Maybe a little more chance, or maybe make this a little slower. Like half instead. Yeah. I have a number of UK coworkers and they always marvel at the fact of how long it takes me to get to anything where I am, and like that they could drive through 3 towns in that time. Yep. I am definitely a big fan of the screw in 2 corners and that's it method. For that exact reason. When I saw that there were 8 screws on the vector, I was like, no, that's not happening. Okay, I'm gonna transition back again. Let's do this way, swap. And actually we'll go into the muted one first. I'm gonna have to start naming these presets so I know what I'm doing here. Okay, so we had with much less reverb, more volume. Let's see if I can hook up this, or not reverb, resonance. God, it's been a long day. Let's see if I can, using the planar, I can hook it up so that we can bring up the resonance at the same time we bring down the volume level. Use that as a bit of control, because otherwise I have to tweak them both. Okay. So if we want them to be opposing each other, how would we set this up on the planar? They don't actually necessarily need to be opposing each other because there's an attenuverter on the resonance for QPass. So really, actually, we just need one value. So I don't really need the planar for that. I could steal back my one remaining tetrapad pad into fader, maybe. Let's just see. Just need it in the locking mode. Okay, so I'll need a splitter cable. Alright. Into resonance you go. And through the tangle of wires. Now I can see how this is going to be problematic because the level need the level to start high and go low as I increase. Yeah, this isn't I've just got to think about this. The resonance, we have an attenuverter on. As we increase the value, I want the resonance to go up. I want the volume to come down. Yeah, so and I can't like just invert the value because I need it to be high when it's low and low when it's high. So maybe it will be planar necessity. The X and Y axes, maybe? Oh, I wish my brain was functioning more. So as we move from one side to the other, we need one value to go from high to low and one value to go from low to high. Play with this until I figure out what I want. I don't really want a bipolar necessarily on the X. One to go from high to low and one to go to low to high. Man, my brain is just not functional today. Whoever knew that music would end up involving logic? I could, but the Ornament and Crime is hooked up for the bot. It's in MIDI mode, so in Captain MIDI. Right, because we can't just use an attenuverter like to actually invert the voltage because we need like an opposing voltage essentially. Instead of when it's at 0 volts input, I need 5 volts output, and then I need it to subtract. You just start at 5 and subtract whatever I'm sending into it. Maybe this is a case for disting. Can we use like a precision adder style thing? Let's just see. Yeah, there's a way to do subtracting. So in the A1 module, okay, so output B would be X minus Y minus the offset. That's not exactly what we want. Because the offset would be the like 5 volts that we're looking for. So if we set the offset to 5 volts and we send something into it, we need offset minus X or offset minus Y, not Y minus offset. That's not particularly helpful. But it also says here that B can be X minus Y plus the offset. I don't know if that's, all right, let's just try this. Let's just try this. So we need to set the offset first, which is on parameter position 1. Oh no, position 0, sorry. So, oh no, that's, but okay, the offset is in 1 volt increments on Z. So 5 volt offset. So that means B's output right now is 5 volts. So let's just take, let's take this out because we're probably not going to use it. Cool. Well, thanks for dropping by, Jazora. Have a good one. Okay, so if I take the output of this and put it into the volume control, I should be able to hear if what I'm doing is what I think it is. No, it's just going more negative. Let's change these sum modes here. Oops, okay, so, oh, that's the Z mode. We need Z mode in 1. Then we need to, I don't always forget on disting how to change to the next, turn the S encoder to change the current selected parameter. Z mode, parameter 1 is, no, I'm still in Z mode, yeah. Press and turn, that's, all right, sum mode, this is what I wanted. So currently the sum mode is 0. Is 1. No, I don't think this algorithm is going to do exactly what I want. Oh, maybe it's the full wave rectifier, the absolute value? No, because I can't remember. Let's see. Let's just try. It doesn't have an offset though, so that's not really helpful. Comparator is not helpful. There must be a way to do this, or yeah, a way to do this. I'm just not thinking of it. My brain is completely not functional. Okay. I don't think it's going to be a disting module, at least that is the thing that does it. Although, feel free to correct me. I would love to be corrected so I can figure this out. I mean, I could do it with the quadrat by doing the little offset trick. I could set one of the offsets to 5 volts and then send in a negative voltage. Actually, would that have worked with the, that might have worked with the precision adder. If the offset was 5 volts and I take the output from tetrapad and I invert it so it's negative, and then I come out and go into one of these. See if that maybe was the answer. Yeah, that's doing what I want now. Ah, I figured it out. Okay. All I needed was for Jajara to leave. You can hear that later on. Yeah. Now it's an inverted fader. Okay, jeez. That should not have taken me that long to figure that out. Okay, so we've got one thing that's an inverted fader, and then we need to mult it. And the other one has an attenuverter on the resonance, so we can just use that. So, come on, get in there, get in there. Okay, so obviously we need to have this be less negative. And this much more positive. That's good. That's the sort of response I wanted, because turning up the resonance increases the volume a lot, but I just want to get that like talking sound out of it, so. That's good. The overall volume doesn't change too much until after a certain point, but that might just be the, there might be a curve on this fader, I can't remember. But, okay, that's good. That's good. Okay, so we can still have this. We can still add in then we can where's my sound coming from? If I was ever to perform this live, I definitely need to like make a little cheat sheet or something. Where is my sound not coming from? Just too low on the volume slider. Okay, so now what I can do is start pulling down the gain on that while turning up this fader. I think I need to leave it in for a little while. I'm just debating whether I cut this. Cut this. It feels a little abrupt. Or if I leave it for a bit. Problem is I can't really... I suppose I could if I ran this through VCA. I could more effectively cut this than trying to move with the gain thing. Just means I need to move some of my tetrapad LFOs out. So let's do that. See if this is long enough to reach Pam's. It is not. Longest ones are barely long enough. Actually, those aren't my longest ones. What am I talking about? I'm forgetting the crazy long ones that I bought on accident. The ones that will always be long enough. And also get tangled in all the other ones because they're so long. Okay, so we're gonna steal back a fader by resetting this, setting it to a sine, and we gotta get an approximately similar to what that other one is doing. The only problem is I keep forgetting to double check whether or not PAMS can actually put out negative voltages on its LFOs. I don't want to disconnect Ornament and Crime right now, or not disconnect it, but take it off MIDI mode to check. Okay. Not the end of the world. Okay, you know what? I think that I'm gonna call it here because my brain appears to be completely shot. I keep like losing track of what it is I'm supposed to be doing next and so forth. So, yeah. I don't think I'm gonna do anything useful to this, but I mean, I did make a little bit of progress. Worked on those transitions, that's good. It got some more hands-on control into this, which I'm definitely going to need. Be interesting to see what happens when I get TET and have all these different voltage values, because I don't remember whether... I know that it lets you store up to 8 voltage values, but I don't know if you can like then simultaneously have like a fader going at the same time, or I guess we'll have to see. It's definitely obvious I need more VCAs as well, because it would be much nicer to not fade with some of these faders on the performance mixer because of their like exponential drop off or whatever. But anyway, yeah, we'll continue this on Saturday. Hopefully my brain will not be as dead. Please, especially if you're listening to this later on, please do let me know if all the volume levels worked out. Hopefully it was better than the last stream. Yeah, and I don't think there's anyone around, but in the off chance there is, let's see if I can send you anywhere. Oh yes, there's someone. I'll send you over there. All right, everyone, have a good night.